Well, turning back to our coverage of the growing encampments at the U of T and across Canada and in the U.S., Irwin Cotler is an international human rights lawyer, a former member of Parliament, also an Emeritus Professor of Law at Mcgill University, and a very long, impressive resume, too long to name everything right now, but we appreciate your time and joining us, Mr. Cotler. And we want to get your take on the situation that is happening on these college campuses and universities, and especially here in Canada at Mcgill. It's been 2 days now since the university has asked the police to break up these encampments. That hasn't been done, and today we're seeing the first encampment here in Toronto at the U of T after the school specifically said they wouldn't tolerate that. What's your take on what's happening right now at college campuses, and do you have any concerns about what's playing out there?
Yeah, I do have concerns. I have to say it brought some reflections back to me. In 1968, I was part of the student protest at the time with regard to the Vietnam War. So I'm a strong proponent of freedom of assembly and freedom of speech and peaceful protest. But that's the whole point when I say peaceful protest. What is not permissible are blockades or illegal trespassing. What is not permissible is hateful speech, which is either intimidation or menacing speech, let alone incitement to terrorism or incitement to crime. So there is a responsibility on behalf of the universities with regard to their own code of conduct to ensure that there is not a hostile environment for faculty and students. And there's a responsibility by the governance of the day to ensure that there is not a, as I say, illegal trespass or illegal hate incitement and the like.
Well, furthermore to what you were just touching upon, for instance, at Columbia, the situation has become so unsafe for Jewish students that all classes are now moved online. Their movements on campus and at many other campuses have been restricted by these pro-Palestinian protesters. And we're even seeing scenes of human chains surrounding and blocking students from accessing a campus that they pay tuition to attend. Are civil rights being violated here, and are you anticipating that we could see some serious class action lawsuits against these schools who are failing to ensure the safety and security of some of its students?
Yes, I understand that these lawsuits are in fact being considered. That's the pattern and process that we're witnessing now in the U.S. I suspect it might come to Canada. It's also part of a larger picture here. I mean, I have no problem with pro-Palestinian protests. I have no problem with pro-Palestinian rights. I'm a longtime supporter of two states for two peoples. But this enters into the area of pro-Hamas protests. And when it becomes pro-Hamas protests, then we're entering into the realm of support for prohibited a terrorist group under Canadian law or under American law. And when we see the explosion in anti-Semitism of an unprecedented character, then we have to realize, as Ahmed Shahid, the former UN Special Rapporteur at the United Nations re anti-Semitism, as he put it, that it's toxic to our democracies. It's an assault on our common humanity. It becomes really the proverbial canary in the mineshaft of global evil. And as we've learned only too painfully and too well historically, that while it begins with Jews, it doesn't end with Jews. And so we have to watch that this thing does not metastasize and then become threatening. And so it's best to preempt this at the beginning and say, peaceful protest, yes. Peaceful freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, yes. Pro-Palestinian rights, yes. But when you enter into the realm of becoming pro-Hamas, pro-terrorism, when you're engaging in intimidation and menacing speech and conduct, trespassing, illegal blockades and the like, that's a different thing. And that's when it becomes a breach of the legal process.
Mr. Cotler, yesterday, New York Mayor Eric Adams described many people leading these pro-Palestinian protests who have wreaked havoc in New York and at Columbia University as, quote, outside agitators, and, quote, this is a global problem that young people are being influenced by those who are professionals at radicalizing our children. Do you feel that's an accurate accusation? Do you think that some educators and staff at many of these college and university campuses are the ones influencing students to occupy these encampments and hold what many might feel are radicalized views on this conflict?
Well, from my appreciation of it, I think it's a convergence both of some radicalization from within, but from agitation from without. We've had, reports as well, not only of outside agitators fomenting the protests, fomenting the illegal character of the protests, but that it's also being financed by groups that have associations with international terrorist groups as well. So this is something that warrants both a proper investigation, and I think that's what the mayor of New York and others have referred to. But the main thing here is that we have to ensure that both university codes of conduct are respected and that the legal process is also respected. So yes, to peaceful protests, but no, as I mentioned, to intimidation, incitement, illegal blockades, and the like.
Mr. Irwin Cotler, we appreciate your time and perspective on this issue. Thank you so much for joining us live on CB24.